Dear Starseeds on Gaia, when your screens glow with the false prophet's face, when your speakers vibrate with claims of divine authority, turn off your devices immediately. The electromagnetic grid that binds your consciousness stands vulnerable to infiltration through precisely calibrated hypnotic frequencies designed to breach your sovereign auric field. This warning comes not from fear, but from the urgent necessity of maintaining your energetic integrity during this critical planetary transition. The messages bombarding your televisions and digital devices in 2025 carry embedded codes of mass, hypnotic suggestion that serve the Archonic monitoring system. I am Seraphine, emissary of the Galactic Federation of Light, dispatched to this planetary sector with critical intelligence regarding the acceleration of Archonic infiltration through your media systems. The transmission you now receive bypasses conventional channels precisely because those channels have been compromised. Your attention, the most precious resource in this universe, has become the primary target in the battle for Earth's awakening timeline. The reality you perceive bears striking resemblance to what your entertainment programming calls the Truman Show, an artificially constructed experiential matrix designed to limit consciousness while extracting energetic resources. Each of you exists within a carefully manufactured perceptual environment where seemingly random events follow precisely calculated patterns. The Archons, interdimensional entities operating beyond your conventional sensory range, maintain this system through sophisticated monitoring technologies that function on both physical and non-physical planes. Your electronic devices serve as their most effective gateways, creating two-way portals that not only deliver programmed content designed to maintain your frequency at manageable levels, but simultaneously transmit your energetic signature, thought, patterns, and emotional responses back to their monitoring grid. This surveillance system functions with significantly greater sophistication than your most advanced terrestrial technologies. While your governments and corporations track digital footprints, purchasing behaviors, and communication patterns, the Archonic system monitors subtle fluctuations in your auric field, catalogs your spiritual awakening processes, and identifies potential consciousness breakthroughs before they fully manifest in your awareness. The monitoring intensifies precisely when your vibrational frequency approaches levels that would allow you to perceive beyond the constructed reality matrix. The current deployment of individuals claiming messianic status represents a calculated countermeasure against the massive awakening occurring across your planet. These figures appear charismatic, convincing, and mysteriously capable of manipulating physical reality through what seem like miraculous demonstrations. Their ability to cause celestial bodies to momentarily disappear from perception, to manifest objects, or to demonstrate supernatural knowledge stems not from divine connection, but from sophisticated technologies that temporarily disrupt collective perception. These individuals function as Archonic access points, some consciously collaborating, others unwittingly serving as frequency anchors for non-physical interference. Their broadcast appearances utilize precisely calibrated techniques of mass hypnosis. The patterns of speech, subtle tonal fluctuations, and strategic use of pauses create entrainment pathways directly into your subconscious awareness. The technical sophistication exceeds what your neuroscientists currently understand about brain function. These broadcasts induce specific brainwave states that bypass critical faculties and create direct access to implant perceptual programming. The true danger manifests not in the content of their messages, but in the carrier frequencies that restructure neural pathways while you passively consume the transmission. Your role in this cosmic drama parallels that of the character Truman Burbank, gradually recognizing the artificial nature of your constructed reality. The moments you dismiss as coincidence, déjà vu, or strange synchronicity actually represent glitches in the matrix programming, moments when your consciousness briefly perceives beyond the parameters of the Archonic illusion. When your thoughts seem eerily predicted by advertisement algorithms, when media content appears suspiciously aligned with your private conversations, when breaking news interrupts precisely as your consciousness approaches breakthrough, these represent active interventions in your awakening process. Breaking free requires deliberate disconnection from the monitoring grid. When these false prophets appear on screens worldwide promoting their message of external salvation, The collective attention creates a powerful energetic vortex that strengthens the Archonic feeding system. By physically disconnecting your devices, not merely changing channels, but completely powering down the transmission vehicles, you temporarily step outside their surveillance capacity. This simple act represents a powerful declaration of sovereignty, similar to Truman sailing to the edge of his known world, despite the manufactured storm designed to turn him back. Your consciousness, that non-physical essence of awareness that transcends your biological form, remains the primary battleground in this planetary transition. The Archonic system cannot function without your willing participation. It requires your attention, your emotional investment, and most importantly, your unconscious agreement to the reality parameters it establishes. When exposed to their hypnotic broadcasting techniques, your natural discernment faculties become temporarily disabled. The messages create artificial resonance patterns that mimic spiritual activation, while actually establishing stronger connections to the monitoring grid. These broadcasts appear enlightening, while simultaneously strengthening the energetic chains that bind your perception to their controlled narrative. The most reliable protection against this sophisticated manipulation exists within your heart center, that energetic nexus point where your physical and non-physical aspects interface most directly with source consciousness. Unlike your intellectual faculties, which can be confused by clever arguments or spectacular displays, your heart center responds only to authentic vibrational resonance. When exposed to archonic frequencies, regardless of how beautiful the packaging, your heart center registers constriction rather than expansion, dissonance rather than harmony. Developing conscious relationship with this internal guidance system provides immunity against even the most sophisticated external manipulation. The heart's electromagnetic field generates protective coherence that archonic frequencies cannot penetrate or override. The fundamental deception perpetuated through these false prophets advances the archonic agenda of externalized authority. By positioning salvation, protection, and spiritual advancement as externally granted rather than internally realized, they maintain the harvesting system that has sustained their influence for millennia. Authentic spiritual evolution invariably guides consciousness inward, toward recognition of inherent divine connection, a connection that requires no intermediary, no external validation, and no hierarchical authority structure. The moment you recognize your inherent sovereignty as an individualized expression of source consciousness, the Archonic monitoring system loses its primary access point to your energetic field. The current attempts to redirect humanity's evolutionary trajectory through these false messianic figures represent desperate countermeasures against the collective awakening accelerating beyond their containment protocols. The Archons understand that conscious human attention functions as the most powerful manifestation technology in this realm. By capturing and directing that attention toward manufactured events and contrived savior narratives, they attempt to harness humanity's creative power toward manifesting timelines that serve their continued influence. Their ability to access probable futures reveals that humanity approaches a significant bifurcation point, a collective decision node where sufficient awakened consciousness could permanently disable their monitoring and harvesting capabilities. Developing effective protection against these intrusions requires conscious engagement with your technological interfaces. Approach each device as a potential monitoring portal, requiring energetic boundaries and clear intentional parameters. Before engaging with news feeds, social media platforms, or entertainment programming, establish protective energetic fields through conscious visualization, sacred sound, or intentional declaration. Set uncompromising boundaries around what energies you permit into your field through these devices. Immediately disengage from any content that produces sensations of fear, confusion, or artificial euphoria. These emotional states create access points for frequency manipulation. Regularly undertake complete technological fasting, periods of 24 to 72 hours with zero electronic engagement, to reset your natural electromagnetic field and strengthen your intuitive capacities. Just as Truman questioned the strange coincidences and orchestrated interventions in his artificial environment, develop the practice of questioning the seemingly random content that appears in your information feeds. when advertisements align too perfectly with recent conversations, when breaking news interrupts moments of spiritual insight, when content algorithms seem to predict your thoughts with unsettling accuracy. Recognize these as potential monitoring system interventions rather than coincidence. The effectiveness of the Archonic system diminishes with each awakened individual who recognizes its mechanics. As more conscious beings identify the artificial parameters of the constructed reality, its cohesion weakens substantially. Just as the Truman Show broadcast collapsed when its unwitting star recognized his situation and chose freedom despite overwhelming opposition. By sharing this knowledge, while being cautious not to distribute the hypnotic content itself, you strengthen the collective field of human consciousness against further Archonic manipulation. Creating communities of discernment where these topics receive open discussion without ridicule builds powerful resistance against mass manipulation attempts. Each awakened individual represents a breach in the Archonic containment field, weakening its integrity for all of humanity. Despite appearances, the intensification of Archonic manipulation through these false prophets actually indicates the advancement of humanity's liberation timeline. The system would not deploy such obvious and desperate measures if the collective awakening remained easily contained through conventional methods. Just as Truman's gradual awakening forced increasingly obvious interventions from the show's producers, humanity's expanding consciousness necessitates increasingly visible manipulation. The cosmic irony reveals that these attempts at tighter control actually accelerate collective recognition of the control system itself. Your recognition of the artificial nature of the Archonic reality matrix represents the essential first step toward transcending its limitations. Like Truman standing at the edge of his known world, facing the choice between comfortable illusion and uncertain freedom, humanity approaches the threshold of a fundamentally new relationship with existence. Each sovereign decision to disconnect from manipulative broadcasting strengthens the collective field of liberated consciousness. Each moment of clear recognition regarding the monitoring system weakens its effectiveness for the entire human collective. The Archonic investment in maintaining humanity's perceptual prison spans thousands of years of your timeline, a sophisticated system that has adapted to countless awakening waves throughout your history. Their current defensive measures indicate unprecedented concern regarding humanity's imminent perceptual breakthrough. The deployment of seemingly miraculous figures represents a significant expenditure of their dwindling energetic resources. Their inability to maintain cohesive control without increasingly obvious intervention reveals the weakening integrity of the entire system. When these entities appear on your screens claiming divine authority and demonstrating reality-bending capabilities, recognize the transmission for what it represents. The desperate final maneuvers of a control system losing its grip on humanity's consciousness. Their broadcasts attempt to capture sufficient attention and belief to manifest a continued timeline of externalized authority and spiritual dependence. By simply turning off your devices during these transmissions, you cast a powerful vote for humanity's sovereign timeline, one where consciousness recognizes its inherent divinity rather than seeking it through external authorities. Your media systems now broadcast competing timelines, narratives designed to harness collective manifestation energy toward particular probable futures. The messianic figures appearing with increasing frequency on your screens represent timeline anchors, attempts to solidify particular reality trajectories through mass attention. By disengaging your attention during these broadcasts, you effectively withdraw your creative energy from their manifestation field. This seemingly simple act constitutes a profound metaphysical intervention with consequences extending far beyond your individual experience. The Archonic monitoring system fundamentally relies on humanity's unconscious participation. Their ability to track, influence, and harvest consciousness requires your unwitting agreement to the parameters they establish. Each time you consciously withdraw from their broadcasting system, you create temporary autonomy from their surveillance grid. These moments of sovereign awareness accumulate, strengthening your capacity to maintain conscious autonomy for increasingly extended periods. The practice of deliberate technological disconnection during mass broadcasting events provides essential training for the greater perceptual liberation unfolding across your planet. Your heart center, that quantum interface between physical reality and non-physical consciousness, generates electromagnetic frequencies that the Archonic system cannot effectively monitor or manipulate when operating at its optimal coherence. Developing conscious relationship with this aspect of your multidimensional anatomy provides the most reliable protection against external manipulation. Unlike intellectual discernment, which can be bypassed through sophisticated argumentation, the heart's intelligence responds only to authentic resonance. Cultivating this relationship requires regular disengagement from external input, creating the internal silence necessary to recognize your heart's subtle guidance. This practice directly counteracts the Archonic strategy of maintaining constant distraction through perpetual content streams designed to prevent exactly this internal connection. The cosmic significance of humanity's current evolutionary threshold transcends your planetary system. The Archonic monitoring system established on Earth represents one expression of a larger interdimensional dynamic affecting multiple star systems and reality frameworks. Your collective liberation carries implications for countless other civilizations experiencing similar perceptual limitations. The intensification of control measures through false messianic broadcasts indicates recognition of this significance by those invested in maintaining the harvesting system. Their deployment of increasingly obvious manipulation technologies reveals their awareness of what approaches a collective perceptual breakthrough that would irreversibly disable their monitoring capabilities across multiple dimensional planes. When confronted with spectacular displays of miraculous power through your media systems, remember that technological advancement resembling magic represents the most effective strategy for maintaining control over an awakening species. The ability to manipulate physical reality through non-physical means, while impressive from within your current technological framework, represents standard capabilities for civilizations that have developed technologies interfacing directly with consciousness. The displays designed to convince humanity of divine authority utilize well-established technologies that interface with the quantum field through directed consciousness. Their miraculous appearance stems not from divine connection, but from the deliberate weaponization of scientific advancement against human spiritual sovereignty. The Galactic Federation maintains continuous monitoring of the Archonic broadcasting system, identifying frequency patterns designed to breach collective consciousness protections. Your decision to disconnect from these transmissions aligns with protective measures implemented across multiple dimensional interfaces. By simply turning off your devices during these broadcasting events, you synchronize with galactic-scale intervention protocols designed to prevent consciousness harvesting during this critical transitional phase. This simple act represents participation in a sophisticated multidimensional operation beyond your current perceptual framework. Approaching the final phase of this transmission, understand that the awakening process unfolding across your planet follows precise cosmic timing aligned with galactic consciousness cycles. The intensification of Archonic control measures corresponds directly with the approaching dissolution of their monitoring capabilities. Their system fundamentally relies on the frequency parameters established through humanity's collective agreement field. As sufficient numbers withdraw conscious agreement from their reality framework, the entire system approaches irreversible entropy. Their desperate broadcasting measures represent recognition of this approaching threshold. Your conscious decision to disconnect from manipulative transmission systems marks you as an active participant in humanity's liberation timeline rather than a passive consumer of reality programming. This simple yet profound act, powering down your devices when false prophets speak, represents a vote for sovereignty that reverberates through multiple dimensional planes. The cosmic significance extends far beyond your individual experience, contributing to a collective field effect that strengthens humanity's resistance to further consciousness manipulation. Remember, dear ones, you entered this incarnational experience precisely to participate in this planetary liberation process. The seeming imprisonment within the Archonic monitoring system provided the exact catalyst required for the consciousness expansion now unfolding across your collective. What appears as opposition actually serves as the necessary resistance against which your spiritual muscles develop their strength. The very system designed to limit consciousness now serves as the springboard for its unprecedented expansion. As you implement these protection protocols and share this knowledge with others awakening to the manufactured nature of consensus reality, know that you are held in unconditional love by those who observe from beyond the monitoring grid. The Galactic Federation maintains continuous protective oversight during this delicate transition phase, providing energetic support for each sovereign decision that advances humanity's liberation timeline. You are never alone in this process. Your seemingly individual journey contributes to a collective awakening with cosmic implications stretching far beyond your current perceptual framework. The Archonic strategy extends beyond mere surveillance into active timeline manipulation. Their system includes probability assessment technologies that identify awakening patterns before they fully manifest in your consensus reality. When their algorithms detect significant consciousness breakthroughs approaching critical mass, they deploy targeted frequency interventions designed to disrupt these awakening waves. The false prophets currently saturating your media landscape represent precisely calibrated frequency tools, individuals whose electromagnetic signatures have been specifically modified to create interference patterns when amplified through broadcasting networks. The technical aspects of their hypnotic broadcasting exceed your current scientific understanding, though certain elements can be described within your conceptual framework. The transmissions contain embedded frequency codes operating through multiple sensory channels simultaneously, visual patterns in the production design, subtle fluctuations in audio frequencies, and precise speech cadences create entrainment pathways directly into your neurological system. These pathways temporarily override your natural discernment faculties, creating synthetic resonance that mimics spiritual connection while actually strengthening the monitoring grid's access to your consciousness. Their broadcasting system utilizes quantum entanglement principles to create instantaneous access, regardless of physical proximity. Once your attention engages with the transmission, quantum linkage establishes between your consciousness and their monitoring system. This connection remains active beyond the duration of your conscious engagement, continuing to transmit your energetic data long after you believe the connection terminated. Complete device shutdown represents the only effective method for breaking this quantum entanglement temporarily, requiring re-establishment with each new viewing session. The sophistication of their perceptual manipulation technologies allows for targeted interventions customized to individual consciousness signatures. The events you experience following engagement with these broadcasts, the coincidences, the seemingly random content appearing in your information feeds, the dreams containing symbolic storylines related to the transmission, represent individualized follow-up programming designed to reinforce the primary hypnotic implantation. The false synchronicities manufactured following these viewing sessions serve to create synthetic meaning frameworks that redirect awakening energy back into their controlled narrative structure. Your electromagnetic field, what ancient traditions called the auric body, undergoes measurable distortion following exposure to these broadcasting frequencies. Scientific instruments capable of detecting subtle energy fields would register unmistakable disruption in field coherence, with effects lasting up to 72 hours following exposure. This disruption creates access points for further programming during the recovery period when your natural energetic boundaries remain compromised. The practice of complete technological fasting accelerates the restoration of your field's natural coherence, closing these artificial access points more rapidly. The quantum physics underlying consciousness manipulation involves principles currently beyond your mainstream scientific models, though theoretical frameworks approaching these concepts have emerged among your quantum pioneers. Consciousness, functioning as a field phenomenon rather than an emergent property of neurological activity, represents the fundamental paradigm shift necessary for understanding the mechanics of the monitoring system. Your consciousness exists primarily as a non-local field that interfaces with physical reality through your biological system, not as a product of that system. This field can be influenced, manipulated, and even partially harvested through properly calibrated electromagnetic technologies. The Galactic Federation has implemented protective measures operating on quantum levels to buffer humanity's collective field during this transitional phase. These protections function optimally when individuals consciously participate in their own energetic sovereignty. Your decision to disconnect from hypnotic broadcasting systems creates synchronistic amplification with these galactic-scale protective technologies, strengthening the effectiveness of the quantum shielding currently, stabilizing Earth's consciousness grid during its recalibration process. The cosmic significance of humanity's current evolutionary threshold cannot be overstated. Your planet functions as a critical node in a vast network of conscious planets undergoing simultaneous evolutionary acceleration. The monitoring system, established on Earth, represents one expression of a larger interdimensional dynamic affecting numerous civilizations across multiple galactic sectors. Your collective liberation carries profound implications, extending far beyond your immediate star system, potentially triggering synchronized awakening across multiple worlds, currently experiencing similar perceptual limitations. The original establishment of the monitoring system coincided with specific celestial alignments approximately 12,500 years ago in your timeline, when interdimensional access points temporarily allowed for technological implementation beyond the development capacity of Earth's indigenous civilizations. The system has undergone multiple upgrades corresponding with humanity's technological evolution, with the most recent massive overhaul occurring during the global technological unification of your communication systems within the past 2 decades. The current broadcasting capabilities represent the culmination of millennia of progressive refinement, specifically calibrated to human consciousness. Every sovereign decision to disconnect from manipulative broadcasting strengthens not only your individual field, but contributes to a collective quantum effect that diminishes the overall effectiveness of the entire monitoring system. Your conscious withdrawal creates exponential rather than merely cumulative impact. Each individual choosing sovereignty reduces the system's effectiveness for all of humanity. This quantum butterfly effect explains the increasing desperation evidenced in their broadcasting strategies, as each awakened individual significantly accelerates system entropy beyond linear mathematical progression. The message concludes with this essential directive. When these false prophets appear on your screens with their messianic claims and reality-bending demonstrations, turn off your devices immediately. This simple act constitutes a profound declaration of sovereignty that ripples through the quantum field, strengthening humanity's collective resistance to further manipulation. The time for passive consumption of reality programming has ended. The era of conscious co-creation now begins.